Everybody, I am Eden, the main artist for our up-and-coming indie game, Mahou Jump X, and today I'm going to be going over my process when it comes to creating these character full arts. So obviously my process is going to start with finding a pose reference. In this case, I like to look through Pinterest. Usually I look through Pinterest. I have a board with a bunch of poses, but specifically I like looking at anime figures. They tend to have really dynamic poses and generally have similar proportions to the style that I'm going for with these character full arts, so it makes it a little easier for me to reference, especially because these tend to have like weapons or props, which give me really good hand references because that's something I struggled with a lot. Moving on from there, I start with my sketching phase. My canvas tends to be around 3000 by 3000. I don't know if that's too big or too small. I was previously working up until recently on like 2000 by 2000 canvases. Regardless, I just start by importing my reference in, copying, pasting it, and then I have a tip that I don't know if this actually helps me or if this is like a placebo effect, but I like to draw over the skeleton of the actual pose before going in and drawing the pose myself. I guess it kind of gives my hand like muscle memory of what the pose will look like. And I start with a very basic skeleton before I make another layer, lower the opacity of the skeleton, and then go on and draw it more detailed with the character's body type slash proportions. After I have a basic body sketched out, I then move on to adding certain details like clothing or hair. In this case, I kind of want it to look like there's like a billowing wind. I feel like it gives the pose a bit more excitement, as well as just generally looks cool. This is the stage where I also tend to edit the pose more heavily. In this case, I was pretty satisfied with my sketch, but I will kind of like lasso and scoot around and rotate, etc., different poses. I also, in this case, brought in a already created character full art just because I want to compare proportions and compare style to make sure that I'm having something similar, as well as size. I want them to be roughly the same size. Even if I am using the same canvas, some of them will look smaller just because they have props or something. The next part of the process is, in fact, my favorite, which is the line art, which is apparently a controversial thing, but I do find it quite relaxing in my opinion. I don't really have a lot to say about my process here. I just honestly kind of draw over my sketch. Sometimes my sketch is more loose, where in this case it's very messy and loose, and I don't really have to follow it too closely, and I honestly prefer it this way. Sometimes if my sketches are a little tighter, I do find the line art process a little more draining. But yeah, I do just draw over my sketch. Nothing in particular to say about that. When it comes to lines that overlap, I also tend to just let them overlap and go back and erase it. It's not that big of a deal to me. It also lets me kind of draw my lines more fluidly or smoother because I don't have to end them early or unnecessarily. After I finish up with my line art, I now go in and I just put in some flat colors. I will just color pick directly from my reference image if I have one. It works best for me, and since these are flat colors, I don't really have to do a lot of detail in terms of actual coloring. That just comes the next part. My line art is usually smooth enough that I can just, like, use the bucket tool and fill it in, which makes my life infinitely easier. Also, sometimes I will lasso select everything and just go from there. It kind of helps. But if I can do it the lazy way, I'm going to, just because I actually don't particularly enjoy flat color or shading that much. It's probably like my least favorite part, and I understand that it makes the final piece look great, but I just don't like to do it. So, when it comes to shading, I don't really have a particular way of doing it. To be honest, I kind of also do it in a lazy way where I I just make a new layer, set it to clip on the flat colors, and then just do everything in like a single darker tone that kind of embodies the kind of tone I want the shadows to have. In this case, I wanted to do it with like a deep red, because I wanted it to still be kind of warm and cool at the same time. It's like a cool red, if that makes sense. So yeah, I just go in with the multiply. I start by just putting it in really in all the spaces I know are gonna be dark. So like any like under shirts, under shorts, shoulders under the head, like back of hair. And I like to go in with the lasso tool as well and like make some really sharp like shadows, I guess. Yeah, that's the best way to describe it. But yeah, it's a pretty easy, simple process. I don't really do too much. Again, it's not really my favorite part of the drawing, so I kind of try to do it as fast as possible. When it comes to hair, I do enjoy this like a little more than like regular, I guess, shading everything else. The way I go about it is, I after I lower the opacity on the shadows to see like what kind of like, okay, this is like the type of like I'm comfortable with this. I like color pick the multiplied, um, like shadow color, and then I start basically putting blobs of the darker one in at the roots and at the tips, and then cutting away at it with the regular hair color, and then adding blobs of like a lighter color and cutting away with the regular hair color again. And then I just keep doing this until I have like, I like how the shines and the shadows look. And then I just add like some random strands here and there of like lighter to cut into the shadow so it's not just one block of color. So this is something I only literally started doing like the drawing before this one, or like actively doing. My friend told me about how gradient maps really add to the finish of a piece, and I could not agree more. Honestly, after incorporating gradient maps into my artwork, I definitely feel more confident in it, and I like the style and look of it more. But generally, this is just me polishing it. I'm adding, you know, gradient maps, like gradation in the shadows, as well as adding, I like to add like a backlit shine, I guess. I don't know, I think it makes it pop, as well as adding other like shines in the eyes or eye details. All in all, this is just really where the drawing, in my opinion, comes together, and this part I have a lot of fun with as well. I really appreciate everyone for watching my video process on how I do these character full arts. So thank you for your time. Please subscribe to our channel, and please follow our development of Mahou Jump X on itch.io, which will be linked in the description, as well as following our social media to get any updates. Yeah, thank you so much. I really hope you enjoyed. Have a good day. Bye bye.